Hello again, officers. Have you come to admire my mural?
A striking woman leans against the cabin top of her sailing boat, smiling as you approach. Her green raincoat glistens with droplets. A silk scarf is tied around her throat.
Good afternoon, officers. I'm Joyce. Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM. Beaton, my maiden name. I meant you, the Revachol Citizens Militia, the police. Nothing, honestly. I've said it to every drunk in town, and you're the first one who's responded.
What is implied here? That you're a drunk?
Of course you're not. It was only a joke.
I'm afraid my partner doesn't shake hands. Please don't take offense.
None taken, officer. Either way, I'm glad you're both here now. I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will, gladly.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual medical episode. Very unusual. But I can assure you of his ultimate competency.
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation, and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines Group.
It's hard to get a read on her precise disposition, but she appears helpful.
Why, yes I am. The boat? No. It is called Cordelati 19 because that's the type of sloop it is.
The word "it" feels strange. Such a beautiful boat deserves a proper name. A breeze ripples through the sails and tugs at your hair. Below, the sleek, fish-like shape of the hull parts the water. Beneath that, a resounding darkness. You're reminded of something, or someone.
Okay. How about Cordelati 19? Why? Because it was manufactured in Revachol East by a company called Cordelati, and its hull is 19 paces long. The X something. The X what? thank you for the suggestion. I see the word has emotional resonance for you. For me, sadly, none. So I will stick with the factory name. Okay, because it was manufactured. The X. Oh, I do like the sound of that. It sounds so powerful. Okay, because it was manufactured. What? I think I'll stick with the factory name. But thank you. Okay, because it was. Why Dolores? Well, it means nothing to me. I think I'll stick with the factory name. But okay, because it was why Dolores? Well, it means nothing to me. I think okay, because it was manufactured. The X, very absurd. Thank you for the suggestion. I will stick with the factory name for now. It's a pleasure craft, a 19 pacer. It also happens to be rated for Category 1 racing. Though these days I mainly use it for business. My sloop? I like it a lot. It's the eel's hips, baby.
I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating.
I really do, the lieutenant thinks. Is she thrown off yet? He's looking at the woman, assessing her.
Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around? I mean, we are on Le Caillou, are we not? We are, and the city of Revachol is on the island of Le Caillou. I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kenema motor carriage either.
Actually, that motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol and pursuit vehicle. It's for crossing long distances in the greater Revachol industrial harbor. It's not a toy.
Neither is this. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the Bay of Revachol, between the city and the islands.
She's having a good time arguing against the law. Too good, perhaps.
Officer, I assure you I'm a highly qualified pleasure craft operator.
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles. Qualified pleasure craft operator. So charming. Where's the damn license?
I just renewed its safety inspection last month, officers. It is completely seaworthy. In fact, it's taken part in not one, but two insulindic regattas. Even finished once.
Actually, you don't. It is a little-known fact among those who police that the Wayfarer Act specifically denies the RCM the authority to demand anyone's operator license. Unless it's their passport. No. Do you want to ask for the lady's passport?
You need to save face if you want her respect. Demand that passport.
Of course.
The woman is silent, smiling while the waves lap against the hull. In your hand, under the plastic, a light blue passport saying, Republic of Vespa. The coat of arms has a lion and an ostrich, Seagent. The woman, born in the year 3 in the commune of Revachol, smiles at you, face adorned with frown lines and crow's feet. The photo is recent. The name reads, Rejoice Leighton Messier.
Yes, but please don't call me that. Joyce is much more efficient.
She doesn't like it. Probably a bad memory. Mean girls at school or some ancient lover.
My husband is. I have dual citizenship. A Vespertine is handier when traveling.
She nods and returns the plastic bag to her coat.
Good. What we do. I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole. It's a giant undertaking. The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. See those airships there, blinking? Those are the shipping side of things. And that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms. I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year, the company booked more than 20 billion real in revenue.
A billion?
And to think, there are years when the group books losses in the billions. Wild Pines employs 72,000 people, all of whom have families that depend on their salaries. It is a tremendous responsibility. They started as an exploration and cargo fleet conducting trade between the Samaran and Insulindian Isolas 250 years ago, when Pine ships explored the South Seminese and charted Lomantang on behalf of the suzerain. Centuries of care, deliberation, and madness have gone into this endeavor. Vessels pass through the great unrest to re-emerge with apricots in tow. The logic of the system is totalizing. It's taken everything from its employees to build it. You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners, who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo? We built this district. All the best parts of it. Rue de Saint-Ghislain, with its bastions. The plazas, Meteor and Mosaic. Even some of the old street lamps have been put back thanks to the investments from the WP. Before Martinez was swallowed by the industrial harbour, even before it was part of Revachol, long before Terminal B was erected here, the Pines built it as a resort for its Revacholian employees. A company getaway, for a weekend or a summer holiday. Then came the revolution. But that's another matter. I'm here to make sure the Pines can fulfill their responsibilities to the place they built.
With your help, hopefully, says her warm tone.
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets. First, you'd have to repeal the Emergencies Act of Trade in Aliments that gives me the right to silence. It's quite the octopus. I am glad you see it that way. To repeal the act would mean repealing the coalition government, the one that leases you the right to police West Revachol. But I am derailing us. You wanted to know about the strike. I believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place. Now they won't even let me into the harbor. There's a 2-meter 20 racist behemoth blocking the gates. What can I say? The Union employs a giant covered in tattoos. A racist giant. I guess that's part of their big tent organization now. Let's say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM.
But the strike began in December.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike.
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive. There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Oh yes. Every worker, a member of the board. In its defense, another said, demand democracy. Pretty tame stuff compared to every worker, a member of the board. Fortunately, they explained it. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision about anything, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group. They're having a blast. But how can they afford it? After 4 months, my assumption was they would prefer a more practical solution. I'm not sure. Naturally, I assumed that was just their opening position, a hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags. A disastrous situation if there ever was one.
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
I first heard it from the bowyer at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, "Call me mañana."
This checks out.
Mr. Clare told him to... how did he put it? Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see. Yes. Extremely. Keep in mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the union.
Sounds like usual aggressive posturing.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first. Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood. He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar. Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues. The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. Organized labor at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say?
A mob. The debardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, I suspect we'll be forced to cooperate with them.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother. And your opinion, Detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Debardeurs Union is... Why do you think so? Well, I suppose that's one way to look at it. They're an interesting composition, albeit vile. But enough about Everard. What else can I do for you? I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the Union. She disappeared.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore. Or coming to work. Ever. End of story. Indeed. The company suspects foul play, but there's nothing they could do. It was a union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
Of course. How else can I help? Quite a few things, I'm afraid. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. I am Lieutenant Kitsuragi, from Precinct 57. And this is my colleague from Precinct 41. I'm afraid he doesn't have his badge at the moment. I hope mine will suffice.
More curious by the minute. Why is that, Detective?
Awkwardness washes over the conversation. The woman doesn't like this turn of events.
I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode? Oh dear. I suppose this does explain some of the more curious turns in our conversation.
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer of the RCM.
Of course, I sympathize, but I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen that badge.
Hang on. She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement. She's a negotiator. Just float a favor at her. Insinuate.
I will be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to want to see something very tangible.
You're in, but expect her to drive a hard bargain.
Reports from inside Terminal B suggest it's a hub for the local drug trade. This is an open secret in Martinez. The Union controls the terminal, so it goes to reason.
They're profiting from this trade.
The company has tried looking into this matter before, to no avail. Perhaps someone with your authority and resources might turn over the right stones. Or you can recover your badge, though if I may be blunt with you, it sounds like that may be a lost cause.
Detective, a word in private before we continue. This is not going quite as I hoped it would, Detective. Honestly, I was expecting you to use your unorthodox technique to keep her off balance, and not volunteer us to be her henchmen. This woman is running circles around us. She might have known about your misplaced badge all along, or she's simply an adept improviser. Either way, we've played straight into her hands.
He doesn't let it show, but there is a limit to how much the consequences of your unprofessional behavior can cost the investigation.
No. If there is reasonable suspicion, we must investigate. Otherwise, she could claim we are siding with the Union, or that we are on their take. We'd never hear the end of it. What I propose is, we ask her, then we investigate, briefly. But do not share the outcome of this investigation with her. We tell her it's done and demand for her information on the lynching. It would not hurt if you tried more in the future, yes. Oh, that would be fantastic, but do we have the time? The world is large and your badge is 8 by 6 centimeters. You could request a new one from your station, but that would literally take months.
Some kind of superstar. They say the world isn't ready for a rock and roll cop. No one wants their state monopoly on violence to be mixed with celebrity worship. They claim to know it would be dangerous for detectives to rise to the ranks of demigods and have sexual encounters with barely legal cover girls. It would be insane, they say. To all this, you say, fuck off and die, in a cool voice. You people have no idea how good these cops are gonna get. They're gonna crack 20 cases a day. In the future, cops will be like astrophysicists, or prime ministers, or prophets. And you're the first one.
Yes?
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? This reality. Ah, yes, the episode. Sounds like an acute case of encephalopathy, now that I think of it.
Don't be phased, madame. He functions perfectly well. He only needs a lowdown on all of reality.
We may be here a while then. Ask away, officer. I'll help however I can.
All right, you're in. Begin with the first one. You'll appear worldly. It remains a mystery what you mean by this something close. This isn't about you. It's about reality. What is all of this? The scent, the sound, the air.
What world? The only one, I suppose. The world of matter. And its pale antipode.
The camera of her mind glides over the surface of the water.
Great bodies of water. Forest-covered surfaces. Clusters of light where the cities lie. You've seen the montage. We all have. This world is enough. There is a term of endearment they coined for it, in the DeLorean century, when humanity was high on this world, discovering more and more of it, these archipelagos included. Elysium. There are those who would call it hell. A term of hatred that originates, like many such things, with the Mesk petro-fascists. Oh, you want a picture of the world? There is no complete set yet, dear. They're having some trouble reaching orbit. Great things are difficult to achieve. For now, we're viewing the world from the inside, sideways. We used to think it was a sphere, but that is beginning to look less and less likely by the day. You wouldn't know it from the tabloids, but the ORG nations have been launching weather balloons into the lower ionosphere since the 30s.
ORG, Occident Revolgrad.
There's a steadily increasing trickle of images. Between the big three scientific contributors, they're piecing together a dark grey corona. Yes. Pale covers 72% of the surface. There are grey flares and prominences, even arcs above entire isolas. The images are blurry, but if there was a sphere in there, it certainly looks like it fractured a long time ago.
A cold fear seeps into you.
They say there is a rarefied envelope of matter surrounding the darkened disk of our planet. That is, if we are still living on a planet. Or, to speak more plainly, imagine vast swathes of land disrupted by nothingness. I am sorry, dear. It must sound quite terrifying through the acute encephalopathy. Even scientific positivism isn't entirely convinced about what we're dealing with here. But this is one of the greatest questions of our time. Maybe when they get the complete set together, it will jolt us out of our rut, bring us together, however naive it may sound. You have misimagined it. I don't have the power to convey to you the effect and geometry of the images that depict our world from below low orbit. It's like the crowning of the world. It's insane. Very disco. You'd love it. See? Everyone finds something worth holding on to in this world, however wasted its opportunities.
The cold seeps into you. The air is heavy with 80% humidity. Suddenly, you're conscious of yourself standing there, on whatever this all is. Your arms hang down by your sides. The lieutenant observes you both, silently. He adjusts his glasses.
The Pale is not, technically speaking, part of reality.
Yes. Also, I think we've had enough excitement for today. Remember, we have a cadaver to attend to.
His voice is low, but firm. All she can say is,
Of course, Lieutenant. Let's try something else. I don't think your colleague would appreciate that. He has already been so patient with this whole exercise. Let's continue with something else, all right? You can ask about anything else in the world. Anything. What I am not is a basic term of reality.
everyone wants to talk about themselves. She will, in time.
It's a neurological disorder caused by a lack of vitamin B in the brain. Symptoms include a retrograde amnesia. It's quite serious. You should get yourself checked out.
She conveys it in short, cold bursts, trying not to invest too deeply in the condition of this doomed detective.
Well, it's either bariatric surgery or long-term alcohol use. That seems unlikely.
What this boils down to is, this reality thing is stupid. Blow this joint, grab a bottle, and drain that shit right down your throat.
Yes, and perform autoerotic asphyxiation on yourself with your funny necktie, out in the open somewhere.
She stares at you, head tilted to the side, with a slightly concerned look on her face.
We're in Martinez, baby. A casual term of endearment popular among the 50-plus crowd. It's a disco holdover, pay it no heed. Aren't we all? Martinez is a district of Revachol. A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbour, north of the 881 and Jamrock. You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten, even. Shelled to smithereens during the Revolution. It has its charms, just not this time of year. I'm not a good ambassador. I've only been here once before, as a teenager. Not a lot has changed. There are ruins, a terminal, fishing boats, reeds, boys with boxy shoulders. As I told you, Martinez used to be a province, a workers' resort before the city swallowed it and the artillery did its part. Now the reeds are the real star of the show here. The further down the coast, the wilder it gets. It's not really a sea, it's the Bay of Revachol, and the bay feeds into the ocean. Yes, we're on an island in an ocean, the world's largest body of water, the Insulindic.
Vast, lukewarm, and unknowable, flowing in and out of sight.
Caillou, as you already know. Imagine a pebble. A smoothed-over pebble amidst a great blue sea, misshapen, cracked. The cracks are the River Esperance. We're in the delta of this river, on the 6th branch, the Martinez distributary.
It is clear this pebble is of enormous value to her.
Revachol? Revachol is what you call a city. The great kind.
As if it's self-explanatory, beyond patriotism, a fact.
History detective. They built this city to resolve history. Our part in it, at least. Our centuries. The nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from Semenine and Ile Marat, depending on your creed. In the DeLorean century, 380 years ago. They say it's where the terrible questions of our time will be answered. The tensions are highest, the fault lines deepest. By that I mean conflicts. Ideological conflicts. The stuff of men. We are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island able to sustain up to 200 million people in the middle of the Insulindic Ocean, the world's connective tissue. It's where the money is. I think it's fair to say so. Martinez is about 22 kilometers from the center of the world. That soldering iron is the bank of the world building. The bottom floors are Insiacom. Coalition government, Insulindian Mission Command.
Silence. She lowers her hand. The water, the light. It's as though you're seeing it for the first time. There is no recognition, only the immensity of the sea and the cold radiating from it. She observes your eyes scanning the horizon, then breaks the silence, slowly. This is one thought you need to complete. Where are you?
Was there something else you wanted to know? I remember something about a lowdown.
This has been informative. Thank you, ma'am. I'm sure my memory-impaired partner has many more questions to ask, about even more fundamental aspects of reality. Might I suggest not asking them all right now? Ma'am, Messier will be here later too, and tomorrow. Isn't that true, ma'am?
Absolutely. My commitment here is long-term.
Oh, of course not. You are already diligent for getting this far, and diligent boys remember where they left off.
Indeed. I'm always at your service. Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Anything else? More lessons in basic reality? My favorite part of the day. These are unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born after the dust had settled. 1,000th of a second too late. For the big time.
The smile of a predator. No doubt what she's got in mind.
All men are predators, dear. Nothing much to be done about that. It's all a matter of where you get to file your teeth. The revolution. It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle. Those would be the communists. Generally speaking, 40 million people got shot in the head during the World Revolution. But the communists, they all got shot in the head. Oh, and the anarchists too. They shot them well. So well, one forgets they even existed. Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people.
Yeah, it was a kerfuffle, all right.
Yes, the Insulindian deluge, they call it. Yes, an acute thiamine deficiency can be exacerbated by alcoholism. Exacerbated means made worse. Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious. Just as well, he wasn't actually the king. Just the king's nephew. The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad. Yes, King Guillaume had a nose for bad PR. He ran before it. What is the expression? Went down? Anyway, Gil got out alive and his nephew Frisell got shot in his place. Him and tens of thousands of his wonderfully fascist kingsmen. It was a wild time. The liberals got the mineral rights. And by mineral rights, I mean everything. Liberals are usually middle-class people, Detective, or the remaining gentry, the beneficiaries of the pre-revolutionary arrangement. Some were rich enough to stay with the Constitution, with monarchy. Big mistake. Others bet on the revolution. They were called the ultras, or ultra-liberals. They fared well. They didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember? To foreign intervention, the coalition. Those people really took the mineral rights. The liberals took everything that wasn't nailed to the ground. The coalition took the ground. The ocean, the laws, and the people. The coalition of nations. Grad, Mesk, Vesper, Messina, Oranje, and Sur-le-Clay, the armed center of the world. They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do.
There is bitterness in her voice, tempered with understanding. She is critical, but ultimately understands the cause.
The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is. They believe in mineral rights and not shooting people in the head. At least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provisional rulers of Revachol now, the coalition government.
The rulers of Revachol, and also the world. These guys are strong.
This is their zone of control. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist. Of course. Not easy to be moderate about head shooting in your line of work. The turn of the century revolution? Don't answer it. It's a trick question. The revolution began in '02 on the Isla of Grad, though by the end nearly the whole world had gotten involved. It wasn't a who, but a what. A pandemic of Zarat, a particularly virulent prion disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Mazov came along and overthrew the government. It made people overthrow their governments. Of course not. It was a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed brain tissue. The actual causes of the revolution were material. The pandemic only provided the spark. From Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to cauterize itself. Mazov's government was overthrown in '08, and the coalition crushed the Revachol commune 2 years later. It was the end. Why? You and I, officer. Our lives in the zone of control.
Something tells you her life and yours are not that similar. Maybe it's because she has a boat and you have that necktie? A pair of pants?
No doubt. But we share the same time and position on the planet's crust. That counts for more than you think. A city-state divided into free market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the Coalition of Nations, and you, of course, the citizens' militia.
The clatter of typewriter keys fills the main hall of the reappropriated silk mill, Precinct 41. Chad Tilbrook presses enter. Outside, Officer Elfboy Williams slams the door of an armored motor carriage.
The zone of control is the third incarnation of Revachol, after the failure of the suzerain and the commune. Modernity. They developed the marvels of the inter-islary communication, telematic milieus, radiation, colored plastics. Meanwhile, in Revachol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade. 43 years. Hard to fathom, I know. The 20s saw a decade of urban war, west of the river leveled, offshore platforms in flames. Still, It's regarded as an improvement on what came before. 08 to 19 was simply hell. The 30s? Things settled down in the 30s. Revachol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven, with the international community's blessing. For the first time in a long time, it seemed like things were going somewhere. No. It was a market mirage fueled by cocaine and quantitative easing. The 40s dispelled it like a cold splash, an Isla-wide hangover, you might say. And here we are. Welcome to reality, baby. Good question. What would you have done differently?
The cold runs down your spine as you say the words, like a small electric charge that seeks grounding.
I see. A tenth of humanity. The key of history is in the lock. Keep turning at any cost.
The wind stops, and for a moment, there's silence. The cold dissipates into your parietal lobe like a dissolved bullet. All is quiet on the Martinez Inlet.
It's
It's all yours.
All yours. That's been the motto of many an Indo tribe. There is something clarifying about that strain of ultra-liberalism. Believe it or not, Wild Pines isn't even the most notorious example. That would be Saint-Baptiste. You can go quite far with that attitude.
Opinions expressed here do not reflect the official position of the RCM.
And what is your official position, Lieutenant?
My position, ma'am? My parents got ripped to shreds in the revolution. I would have gone the same way. I was saved by being 2 years old. That's my position. The abattoir.
Understandable. They are what they are. Who knows? An afterbloom may yet come. Anyway, enough sentimentality. Is there anything else you want to know?
Is what you want to do. But should you? He expressly stated you shouldn't hear about it. What if it renders you mad? Or catatonic? Or makes you lose your memory again?
Yes? Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I... Of course, Detective.
Yes?
Hello again.
All around you, rain falls on the great city of Revachol. Rain drips from the eaves and floods the gutters, washing the filth away. The spring thaw must be here. The snow is melting. Looking up at the sky, cold water dripping from your hair. Grey sky like great battleships, clouds colliding with one another. Rain falls down on the world. Water runs down your bare chest. The cold finds its way under your skin. You shiver, and the city shivers with you. You're not dressed for this weather. You should get an overcoat or a patrol cloak. Sheets of rain over the water. A flight of stairs leading into the ocean. Wave after wave washing the coast of Martinaise, with its motorboats and gently swaying reeds. The ruins of a half-sunken sea fort crumble on an inlet beyond the Bay of Revachol. Ghosts rise into the sky. The skyscrapers of La Delta, the financial district. Faint golden light seeps from the office windows. Will you ever go there? No, you are just one of the hundreds of thousands who watch them rise across the bay from Martinaise every day. Urban coastline, rain dripping off Eternite-covered roofs, cinder blocks left over from half-finished construction. A defunct research and development building, once seized by revolutionaries. An old wooden church stands on stilts above the water. Coal City, end of all lines. Your hair is an oily mess flecked with ash from neighboring coal plants. Smokestacks rise somewhere in the distance. There's a fleet on the corner. A plastic coat is folded into a small triangle under the counter by the window. Beyond that, the strikebreakers have gathered. The great gates of the industrial harbour are locked. A chill runs down your back. You shudder like an animal trying to shake water from its hide. You shudder looking down at your feet. Dirty rainwater runs veins into the plaza's snow. Two green snakeskin shoes stand at attention on the mosaic paving of the plaza. Capeside apartments. Tower blocks crowd one another. 4.46mm bullets still lodged in their war-torn stone walls. Hallways collapse from the mortar hits of a war that was lost long ago. Clotheslines go to waste in the rain. Radios play. A yard. Rain falls onto the roof of a woodshed. Coal leaks into a puddle beneath a dead man's feet. He swings from a tree, bloated. Droplets of rain slip from his cold cheeks. A traffic jam. Rain thrumming on the roofs of motor vehicles. Inside, drivers watch water streaming down their windshields. The statue of a king shudders. He too is cold. The canal bridge has been raised. The road ascends. A raised motorway loops above the ghetto. Beneath its concrete columns, a sea of rooftops woodwork, and tar stretches northward. 4-story buildings as far as the rain can fall. The snow. Revachol is the capital of the world. Jamrock is the capital of Revachol. Droplets form on your eyelashes. It's home.
Have a brother in the cut. Where the wood at? Have a brother in the cut. Where the wood at?
To be in Martinez, where no one goes, at the runoff point of a long-forgotten canal, in the whitest part of town, in the shadow of the day the revolution failed. Standing in the rain, looking north, where Jamrock Rock City stretches inland. In the rain-swept distance, above the rooftops of Jamrock, a repurposed silk mill stands perched above the motorway exit. Precinct 41 hunches in the rain. Your vision blurs. You wipe your face with your hand. The rain stings your eyes, making you look up and blink. Coalition aerostatics hang like apparitions under the cloud cover. Way up there, where rain forms, rotors flutter silently. Your sight clears. Collapsed storm drains, old sewage systems flooded with rainwater. Hidden weapon caches from the revolution. Doors leading down to Le Royaume. The catacombs to which, for 3 centuries, they delivered the blue-blooded dead.
This rain will not let up anytime soon. You should get a raincoat. There's a freight to the east. They sell them there.
You see a set of tire tracks in the brown slush that covers the plaza mosaic. Cop habit. You look at everything. Hard to say. Your vision is blurred and you're having difficulty concentrating. No, these tracks are not interesting at all. Let
Kuno's got this!
Oh yeah, Nappa Gumpy, Kuno! Right in the dick, Kuno! Get him right in the dick!
Love it in the dick.
The boy is sweating profusely. His eyes are like 2 black holes and his jaw is twitching as if trying to break free from the empire of his body.
Fuck that! Kuno, yeah! Right in the mouthhole!
They pay you no heed or pretend not to notice you.
Shits himself.
The rake, Kuno! You should throw the rake at him, Kuno!
The fuck? Does Kuno know what a rake is? Kuno's not a gardener.
We shouldn't do anything. I don't tempt such forces. Just take it easy.
The fuck are you talking about?
He's calling us Kuno! He says we're fucking each other!
Alright, entertain the Kuno. Show me what you got. What you got there? What you got, huh? Show me what you got. Kuno's Kuno, pig?
Kuno. Primal. Violent.
Yeah, think about it. Think about that rabid Kuno shit.
He seems glad someone understood what he was going for. But right as he's getting distracted, you hear a malevolent hiss from behind the fence.
Watch out, Kuno! He's trying to fiddle you! He's gonna
Everybody, please! He's digging his dick out!
Escalate, Kuno! His dick is out! You're afraid!
Pigs in here, Kuno! Somebody, please!
You didn't shut him down. Your fat fist didn't meet its target. Instead, it pulled you down with it.
Kuno can't believe this shit! Can no one stop the Kuno? Pig, Kuno thought you had this. What happened? Kuno can't do anything now.
The whole charade was about establishing dominance over you. It's safe to say he has succeeded.
Fucked your shoulder, fucked your knee, fucked your fat body up!
No.
Kuno's just gonna beat the shit out of you again.
I told you not to tempt such forces. Now, how about we go and do something worth the public's time?
Look, see? It's the fucking war pig! Try not to knock yourself out.
You belittled yourself before the Kuno. Now you must seek his forgiveness.
Fucking what pig? Yeah, how are we gonna make it up to Kuno, pig shit?
Please don't waste time on nonsense.
The lieutenant does not approve of this at all.
Don't listen to the blind fuck, piggo. You're doing the right thing here, trying to get Kuno to like you again. You can pay tribute to Kuno with drugs, or cigarettes, or some wheels. Kuno could use some wheels. Motorized carriage shit.
What are you doing? No, you really don't. That is a 12-year-old boy. His opinion of you doesn't matter.
You don't fucking matter, buck imp.
But why? You're turning this into a huge thing. You're totally unraveling, officer.
Kuno, the pig's getting pretty close to me. Come to snuff my shit out, I think. Looks like it's time for me to go, Kuno. Pig's come to take me in.
She means it. The fear is real.
I'm going away for a long time, Kuno. Going away for life.
What's going on there? Fuck are you trying to pull, pig?
I come from the woods, good Davidu. You don't want to go there with me. You don't want to see what I've seen.
Don't be traumatizing here. Get the fuck out of here.
I'll die before I squeal, pig. fucking mind games. I'd rather die than squeal.
Get the fuck out of here, face! You...
I'll die before I squeal, pig. Murder? I'll die before You don't want to fuck with me. I got my hands bloody. I'm not here, pig. You're not seeing this.
You can still see the top of her hat from behind the fence. This trash container is locked. There's something in there, not necessarily connected to the case, but still. Well, it is a container. Maybe you're prioritizing it.
Trash, food waste from the cafeteria. They lock these containers to keep the derelicts from flocking in. Could be evidence too. What do you mean, feel? We could try using a pry bar, the one you took from my motor carriage, or we could ask for a key from the manager of the Whirling in Rags. He probably has one.
This trash container is locked. The sliding lid has a padlock that says, well, it is a container.
Trash, food waste from the cafeteria. What do you mean, feel? I agree. We should get someone from the remote viewers division here. All the detectives from all the precincts who experience extrasensory perception go to the remote viewers division. Their work is invaluable to the force. No, because they don't exist. There isn't, but we should still access this container.
Well, it is
Trash, food waste from the cafeteria.
Force time isn't happening. What is this? Your triceps ache for the metal to bend, but it resists. This calls for a potent curse to help break its resistance. Utter the power words. There's a creaking sound as the pry bar slips under the lid. You hang from it like a moron, huffing and puffing. Clearly the technique is wrong, but nothing else comes to mind.
The quality of metal is not the problem. From what I see, it's sturdy enough.
He's enjoying your little failure. He finds it amusing. He's reveling in sweaty rage on your face. Unsatisfying, hurtful. You hear a ringing sound, but not quite hollow. The can seems to be full. Full of itself. Content. Happy you failed. This snickering trash container is having a grand old time.
Let's ask the manager for the key. This is clearly not working.
The corpse looks at you with bulging white eyes. The face around them does not look human. It's swollen and ready to burst. His lips are fish-like and his tongue like a ball gag in his mouth. You seem to be holding your breath. A cargo belt twists his neck at an unnatural angle. The body below appears stiff. It's letting out an ungodly rot. The smell seeps in even through your clenched nostrils. The smell is repulsive. It pushes in from your mouth, more instant and more familiar than anything you'd expected, more fever than odor. It fills your mind, flushing you from within. You feel a great force ringing from your stomach. Your body curls and pushes it out, burst by burst. until a pool of vomit lies under your feet and your throat stings from the stomach acid.
Keep it. It's not pity. You should wipe your mouth after vomiting. The hangover is clearly making this worse for you. You could use some ammonia to clear your head. If you can handle the headache, some officers use it to deal with cadaverine odor. I can't handle the headache.
It's more likely he can handle the smell, unlike you.
There is Frit nearby, east of the hostel. They usually have a small apothecary. If they don't... There's a greenhouse here, and a gardener with a wheelbarrow on the corner of the whirling in rags. If she works here, she might have something for the smell.
Acquiring ammonia will provide a modifier to the white check. Modifiers make checks easier and allow you to retry them.
Active decay. It's okay to throw up, officer. No one is judging.
He's about to blow! Cop's gonna blow, Kuno!
There he still is, looking right through you.
Yes?
There are several footprints in the mud, left by work boots. Anywhere from 6 to 12 pairs have walked here. Heavy workers' boots with reinforced toes and hobnails, all over the yard. What do you think you are? A super detective? You're hungover. These are just dents in the mud. No pattern emerges for the time being.
I can't believe it's snowing again. It felt like springtime just a few days ago. Sure, I'm done with it. Go easy on that stuff. It gave me a terrible headache. Excuse me?
She's uncomfortable. Maybe you should drop this line of questioning.
Oh, well, I didn't write it there. I'm just sitting here. I don't know anything about that either. As I said, I didn't write it.
No need to worry. We are not saying you did.
Okay. Well, I didn't.
There he still is, looking right through you with his white eye. There he still is, looking right through. You crack open the ammonia ampoule and breathe in. The odor of death is still stronger. It's a spell of the mind telling you to run, and your stomach to wring itself empty. With your eyes squinting, you stand in it.
They do after 7 days, yes. We are deep in decomposition here.
The man before you is naked, but for a pair of underpants and enameled boots. His skin is greenish, marbled with decaying veins and blotched by lividity. A fading web of tattoos covers his chest and shoulders. The cargo belt used to fasten him to the branch above appears industrial in strength. The material appears to be ceramic. Its clean white stands in stark contrast to the decaying flesh above the knee. The man wore thick polymer socks, probably for padding. A fine array of interlocking plates covers them. Delicate and fragile, they feel alien to the world around you, out of place somehow.
They're armor, no boots. Technically speaking, these are sabatons. Ceramic plate, zirconium dioxide, most likely. This is where the make would be. Under the heel, fair weather model T500 VE. I'm guessing that's vitreous enamel. This is advanced stuff. Piece by piece, he's been out here for 7 days. It would be odd if they didn't. We should keep a lookout for these pieces. The armor could yield information. Maybe he'll know something.
If you wear those pieces, it will help me protect your mortal coil. Yes, bullets will fly. They always do. And the coil is fleshy and mush and permeable. Cast it in ceramic shell. Resist death.
No, he must have worn something precious underneath his clothes. They've removed all his clothes to get to it. They did not just strip him for the putrid rags. Someone could have cleaned the yard, but that's a question for the red-haired thing.
I hear you, cop, talking shit about the Kuno. Come here and say it to Kuno's face. You wanna fuck me, huh? You wanna fuck the Kuno?
They usually hang them completely naked for that. La puta madre, the Mazda, the Besmerties and the like. This one still has his underpants.
What? Are you trying to ignore me now, fuckface?
Kuno, this boots shit is super boring and the guy's a total vitupaz.
It is. It's expensive. We've requested similar material for our tactical units for years now. The constabularies deemed it too costly. In that time, we've lost 6 men to semi-automatics. For a full set, about 4 years of wages. By catching, do you mean, let's not log them as evidence? Let's steal them?
What was that about the constabulatory before? You need to push some buttons if you want to recruit the lieutenant in a conspiracy.
So they don't get shot in the foot? I think our extremities are fine without the dead man's boots.
Oops. Well, no one said it would work. Back to detecting now.
It is. We've requested for a full set by catch.
What was that about the constabulary?
It means disciplinary hearing.
The lieutenant nods often. It's part of his unplastic expression range, communicating both professionalism and sarcasm. This time, the latter.
It is. We've requested for a full set by catch.
What was that about the constabulary?
Of course.
The lieutenant nods often. It's part of his...
That's for us to find out. My initial report on the area suggests he was a security guard for the harbor company. But that's just hearsay. Just something I scraped together from my station. An area report on Martinez. I'm sure you did the same.
He's not actually sure of that. He's just being tactful.
I agree. This equipment is way beyond what a guard can afford. That's for us to find out. No, your first instinct.
A small bell-like sound fills the air. like tapping on the side of a porcelain cup. The pry bar in your hand is itching for some action. The metal connects with the same ding. The sound does not appear to get louder.
Did you hear that? A click? This is a kinetic redistributor. It spreads the incoming energy horizontally, from plate to plate. When the plates connect, there's a click. That's the sound you heard. See these lines?
Faint, organic lines cover the plates where they separate into smaller ones. These plates then divide into smaller plates until, like the scales of some ancient white monster, cracked and pearly. The pry bar in your hand.
It's anything but. This material is a kinetic redistributor. It spreads kinetic energy horizontally, from plate to plate, dissipating it entirely. See?
Faint, organic lines cover the plate like the scales of some ancient white. This feels dangerous. Are you sure? The stench fills your nostrils. As you push downward, an ominous creaking sound comes from above.
Stop! Pig's gonna pull his head off.
Brutal!
Even the mongrels can see you're about to pull his head off.
Do it, homo!
Pull his head off. There's no point performing an autopsy if you do. We'll have compromised the coroner's case. What are you trying to achieve anyway? Why are you hanging on to that boot? Maybe we should concentrate on what's outside the boot and leave what's inside to the boys at processing? Just this once. Besides, there's no way you're getting them off. All the organic matter in his body has been flowing down into the boots. They are fused to his feet now. Why do you think the locals haven't scavenged them yet?
You're sure there's a way to peel them off, but first the body needs to be down. And second, it would probably be better if the lieutenant wasn't around. The anticipation makes you crack your fingers. Feels nice. Nice and cracky.
Processing will take care of them. With the situation in the morgue, it will yield nothing. But we must pick our fights. Should we continue?
The cadaver slowly twists on the cargo belt, his torso covered in tattoos, and extremities blotched pink and blue. The hangman's knot is pulled tight by the weight of the corpse below. Yellow, hard-edged polyester cuts into his neck. Above, a sliding buckle ties the belt to the branch. Oh my, there's something on the belt, a familiar word that speaks to the thirst within you. Vermilion, in yellow letters, along the length of the twisting cargo belt. Only a deep longing for vermilion golden spirits lets you decipher the fading logo of the local brewery.
No, you should not get a drink. You should perform an initial inspection of the victim's corpse. We are on the raw part. Industrial strength, the kind used for tying cargo to lorries.
Like in a circus, when the circus leaves town and they tie a black-spotted giraffe to the wall of a carry pen.
No, more like in harbor, like the one just east of here. I get the sense they used whatever was on hand, without paying much attention to not incriminating themselves. I'm still approaching this as a lynching, yes, motivated by the ongoing strike. You?
No, you feel like it was something else. But what?
Yes, it often is. This bell worries me. It's not merely polyester, it's steel reinforced. See these lines? This is where the wires run. I see rabbits for more than 20 strands. This makes getting him down much more problematic than I had assumed. A noose is one of those things that's easier to use one way around. I think they lassoed the branch, then pulled on the belt, buckle closes. It's what I would do. Seems easier than climbing up there.
The cadaver hangs from the cargo belt, limbs limp and torso covered in tattoos. An intricate web of blue lines stretches across the torso, from the right shoulder to the solar plexus. Each time they intersect, a small white star is formed in their crossing. Hundreds of fading asterisks riddle his skin. Their concentration is highest around his heart. His corpse is marked by stars. Alcohol and heartbreak. Your fist clenches suddenly. Decay is creeping on the tattoo. Already, most of the canvas that's holding it has darkened. Now, it disintegrates slowly, letting out a stink.
A map of the stars. I do see some similarity to astronomical charts. Great Century Messinian, maybe. But this seems more particular. Customized somehow. I agree.
He takes a thin piece of milled aluminium from his coat pocket and pulls it open. Sounds like a sword being unsheathed. A small lens appears. Some sort of camera.
Shit, Kuno! What the fuck is that?
An instant color camera.
This is the first time he openly acknowledges the kid's existence.
I have only 2 ampoules, so nobody move. I don't want to waste one.
A sound, a shrill flash, followed by the breaking of a small ampoule of glass. You see streams of color pour onto the thick, glossy piece of paper, rolling out.
In case we need it. Yes, it is pretty cool, isn't it?
There is only one ampoule left. Use it wisely.
It contains insight to the victim's person. By his build, I'd say this was a man of physical violence. The story he wanted his body to tell was important to him. It is his letter. To us. Someone should decipher it. We'll need to show it around. Sure. Just don't lose it.
The glassy-eyed corpse looks by, his mouth mute and his skin as colorful as the chemical rainbow on the photo paper, teeming with opportunistic organisms.
You've acquired an interactable item. Investigate this item further by going to the Interact tab in your inventory.
His eyes are milky white and blind to the world, protruding comically from their sockets. There is no one home, just subaquatic terrors there. Dark brown hair grows on his head. His face is ready to explode from the organic processes inside. The death's head grin has passed. What remains is an unrecognizable mess.
I'm gone. Into the wild pale yonder. In the past, way out in the west. I'm a joke. Look at me. There is nothing funny about jokes either. A killer, a motherfucker, and a killer.
Takes one to know one.
Go ahead, Cobbo. What do you mean? It's the power of your imagination.
Yeah, man! Don't be crazy! Inanimate objects and dead people can't really talk to you! Your wild imagination is doing this. Ask some more of those questions you love so much.
He loves those. Because you're a copperoonie. Look at all of them go. Do you want more questions? Coming right up, copperoonie. This is... Fuck no. You're no Rooney. No, you don't. Between you and me, your name is probably Harry. Because you have loved it, me and Brother Copo. It was love all along. Sure, Lobo. I can ask you a question. Why are you doing this? Looking at my face, motionless, looking into my eyes, standing here. Why are you investigating my murder? You're a lying sack of shit, Coppo. You're doing this because there is nothing else to do. Everything else is over. It's just me now. Do I remind you of someone? There you go. Look at that bright kid. We're birds of a feather, you and I. Soon you'll be just like me. Just keep drinking and having a good time. It's a matter of weeks.
Feeling nausea, vomiting, tenderness or pain around the liver area, tiny red lines on the skin above waist level, more like days, Coppo. The clock is ticking. Your liver tells you so.
Come back later, Coppo. Amuse yourself with my frank manners and my memento mori features. If possible, also, see me in your dreams.
As you narrow your eyes, the monster before you blurs into a violent mess of green and pink. Only the lower extremities are pink with a dash of blue. His fatted hands, thighs, and his neck, just above the noose. The rest of the corpse appears dark green in the cold spring air.
How should I know why you are squinting, officer? Oh. You are trying to assess lividity.
The monster comes back into focus, an explosion of color, coursing with dark marbled veins. His stomach appears pregnant with something. Black liquid streams down his thigh and onto his boot.
So, what do you think? I agree.
There are crow's feet in his eyes. He's laughing silently.
Totally dead. Dabba-doob-doob dead.
A pool of blood and feces has eaten into the frozen mud below the man's feet. Purge liquid is dripping into it, drop by drop.
The victim appears to have contained no more than half a kilogram of digestion at the time of death.
The fuck he's saying?
Talking about shit.
Maybe. I think he was upright immediately after death. Blood has gathered in his hands and feet, and his neck. The noose acted like a tourniquet, keeping the blood in his head. The hypostasis here is in tune with the hanging. That's what I think. Everything here seems to corroborate that assumption. but we should still get him down before assigning a probable cause of death. I do. Most of them are post-mortem. Maybe even all of them. The delinquents have made our jobs harder with their little sport.
Stop talking in riddles, coin slot.
It means you fucked him up good, Kuno. Fucked him up brutal-like.
But there is no breath to catch. Only the cadaver filling the air and your nostrils. He slowly rotates before you, decomposing.
Are you sure we finished the preliminary examination of the cadaver? We might miss some of these things once he's done.
The cadaver slowly twists on the cargo belt, his torso covered in tattoos, and extremities blotched pink and blue.
Of course. You have in the past. I'm a joke. A killer.
Takes one to know.
Go ahead. What do you ask me more? Because you're a copperoonie. Here you go, you loony. Because you're lost, coppo. Don't. Fuck no. You're no Rooney. Listen to yourself. You're not a Raphael anything. You're probably just Harry or something. You might be onto something there. Fuck no. Between you and me, your name, you can be anything you want, brother, because you loved it. Sure, looking at my face, motionless, looking into my eyes, standing here. Why are you in? I am all you have. Then you truly lost. Sure, looking at.
Something is on its way. Something hidden. It's coming. A miracle from the northwest, and it's almost here. You can feel it in the air, on your hands. The cold spring air smoothing them over.
Come back later, Corpo.
The steel-reinforced belt presents a unique challenge. I brought chain cutters, but I don't see a good angle of approach to the belt. The cadaver is a good 1.2 meters up. Neither one of us can reach the belt without assistance. And even if we do, there's the question of cutting it. I was really hoping we wouldn't. The Union appeared to be suspect in this case. It seems like a dangerous route to go down.
Confirmed. It's unsafe.
Okay, they do have the tools and the men. And since it looks like they put him there... Okay, let's do it in the lousy, dangerous way. From the gates, by negotiating or fighting. I'm unenthusiastic about fighting. Or we can try to find some secret third path. It's unlikely though.
To the gates. Let's fight, I say.
To ask the suspect for help with the victim's body? To be indebted to Evrard Clare? Very much, yes. Which is why I would have preferred us to handle this ourselves. Clearly we can't.
Suck my dick, bitches!
He's a dangerous and corrupt man, and we cannot predict what he will want from us in return.
Yeah? Don't go being someone else's bitches. You're Kuno's bitches.
An intricate web of blue lines stretches across the torso. It still kind of looks like a map of the stars in the night sky. But something's not right. Gone. For you to discover. You've gotten as far as you will without assistance. Someone close to the victim might know. An intricate... It still kind of looks like a map of... An inconspicuous pile of the roofing material, Eternite. It's nothing. Someone just left some roofing material slanted against an old shack. Because it's nice and orderly, well-laid pallets, easy on the eyes. No, there's more to this. You get this strange feeling. Hard to say. It's gone now. Feelings pass, you see, especially the small ones.
Hello again, sweetie. Oh, sweetie, I heard your conversation with the manager about your financial troubles. When do you get your next paycheck?
If she could, this woman would feed and clothe you and every other sad, lost person on this earth. You've got guns of steel and a chiseled jaw somewhere under the bloated alcohol layer. Maybe she'd like to sponsor you. Your deportment remains dignified as you shed a single manly tear.
Sweetie, I only have a few cents on me, but I could give you this to pawn. Just to tide you over.
Wonderful. He has a pin.
The pin is round and slightly tarnished. 3 sailboats in bas-relief with the sun hovering over the water behind them. A chipped green banner at the bottom reads, San Baptiste, Summer 31, Dinghy Races.
Cross the plaza and follow the road along the coast. Down by the water, there'll be a shack nestled against an old stone facade. That's the pawn shop. An old friend of my husband's goes there often. He says the owner is quite helpful.
Items that can be pawned at Bird's Nest Roy's appear in your inventory under the Items tab. You can pawn these items when talking to Roy.
It's easy. You bring a valuable item to a pawnbroker, who then gives you money for it. You can get it back later for a slightly larger sum if it hasn't been sold, but you never end up doing that anyway. You're quite welcome, dear. I hope you're able to pawn that old trinket. Of course, dear. I just wish I could have done more.
That sugary black rum stain on the counter makes you teary-eyed with joy. It's almost touching how syrupy and sticky it is. How long have you been up already? Attaboy. It's coming back to him. You had your mesolimbic reward pathway worried there, not thinking about drinking all that time. It was like you weren't yourself. Forget about the bar. Or don't forget about it. You should totally try to get a drink there too. But first, you should lick that stain off the counter. Yeah, man. Let's get wild. Lick it. Calmly, the lieutenant looks out of the window, then to you, licking the tasty rum stain off the counter, then out of the window again.
What are you doing? We should move.
A real drink would go well with those cigarettes you're looking for. That's a great combination. A colourful piece of plastic is dangling from his carabiner. Makes your fingers itch. On the counter, rolled out of his open hand, you see a blister pack of headache medicine.
No idea. Looks like he works for Wild Pines, the logistics company who owns and operates the harbor. Possibly because there's a strike going on in the harbor. There's not much to do aside from drinking and sleeping.
The man does not mind. You probably need them more than he does.
You've just picked up some magnesium. This item is stored in the bottom left corner of the screen above your character portrait. Use magnesium to heal your
It's a dock worker's ID, doubling as a shift card and a job permit. A young, able-bodied man stares back at you from the photo. Santiago S. John. Your fingers find their way into the shackle, flicking open its spring-loaded gate. The metal loop holds the plastic ID and a leather-bound pocketbook. The man emits a loud snore. Is he about to wake up? Doesn't look like it, but you never know. Better be quick. You slip the plastic ID card out of the loop and pocket it. The man continues to snore. You find a black paper note with a woman's profile on it. Seems like this woman lived centuries ago. The note says, 5 Real. It feels nice and greasy. Yum yum. Money. Think of all the things you can buy with this. The synapses in your brain fire with glee. No, he's looking the other way. Perhaps purposefully. The sleeping dock worker has little to say about your actions. He remains silent. You gently shake his shoulder, but
Can I help you? Mine? No, it belongs to the Whirling in Rags.
Thank you for clearing that up. Why do you keep the container locked?
Why? To keep the hobos and drunks out. That's why. And the neighbors too. They put their trash there and they don't pay for the garbage company.
I thought as much. And are you the only party with access to the trash container?
Well, yes. Us and the garbage disposal company.
it seems a little callous, doesn't it? Something stirs in you. Prod at him and find out.
Callous? What are you, Kras Mazov? Almost all establishments in Revachol keep their trash locked. The Whirling in Rags is not special in that regard.
Yes.
I'm not a fishing teacher. That is not why we keep our trash locked. Any place with a kitchen does it. It's not political, I assure you.
Yes.
Sir, I'm sorry the RCM is having financial trouble, but it's not this establishment's problem. What do you need them for?
It concerns the case. Please cooperate.
Just bring them back once you're done, please. Do I have a shaker in my hand? Is this a shaker?
He sounds irritated.
Am I wearing a little bow tie? Am I wearing a bow tie and doing this? Am I smiling? Do you see me smiling and shaking my little shaker? No. Do you know why? Because I'm not a bartender. I'm a cafeteria manager. Is there anything else you wanted? Well, you're not getting it! arsehole!
This is a thoughtful exchange, but can we move on, please?
God.
Oh, but he should be. Lay it on him.
Wonderful.
It is. It's wonderful.
What? What does that mean? Cock carousel. Huh?
Yeah, this feels right. It feels wise. Good setup. Now speak the real shit.
Does it mean you talked to her? What else did she say about me?
What else do you need? The man leans his hands on the counter and sighs. His head drops between the shoulders, heavy and defeated.
She broke the bird, you know. The great skewer. I found it on the ground with the broken wing. On the morning she left. I should have known. It was her way of telling me to piss off. I should stuff it up my arse.
Yes, the bird is connected to this. It's a symbol of hope, and she broke it.
Huh. Cock carousel. I think I understand now. It's what they ride until, like, 39. They ride the cock carousel until the clock runs out. Here, have the rest. Now, let me have a drink and think about this shit for a moment. On my own.
And there we have it. Isn't that beautiful? Another situation fixed by Dr. Love. Hey, psst. Yes, you. Word on the street is you're ready to start building communism again. You keep saying things like, down with the bourgeoisie, eat the rich, sodomize the landowners, impale all people who have more than 25 real in their pocket, literally murder all human beings regardless of their political beliefs. That kind of stuff. Funky style. Very funky. So tell me, do you have any questions before we fire up the big communism builder? Or do we get right down to it? Failure. It's about failure. Of course you do. You are failure. You are communism. Absolutely vanquished, beaten, curb-stomped, shat on. While everyone else is out partying, having a callous laugh, you will reverse the fortune of the workers of the world. You alone, against every living thing, against every human alive. 800 trillion real in the hands of an impossibly well-organized ruling class. Towering city blocks of bankmen who have the ears of prime ministers. Million-headed armies of nations and the love of your own mother. You against the atom, the charm and the spin, where the whole world failed. Matter failed to bend to human will. Human will failed to get out of bed and tie its laces. You alone, single-handedly, will rebuild the dreams of the working class. You are the last communist. Now get to work, comrade. Very well. I guess no one will build communism then. Tell the working man it's over, unless anyone has objections. Did someone mention cocaine? Are we doing cocaine? No. I'm sure I heard someone say cocainism. Anyone? Anyone else? There's no one? There's no one. Okay then, lie down and let the water carry you downstream.
Can I help you?
The door is this door. Still, the lieutenant, he doesn't like. You should punch. You hear them. The bed is cold and not. Well, hello. Someone seems to have found himself a bottle of alcohol. Here's where the magic happens. Light reflects off the green glass of the Commodore Red. The gods have been generous. Better pop it open before they change their minds. Wow, the gods of mass production have made this alcohol container laughably easy to open. A child could have done it. There's a satisfying pop as the cork jumps out, and the hair on your back rises like an army at attention. You've been here before. Welcome back, detective. You're home now. You see a flash of teeth, a young woman smiling at you near some railway overpass in your ruined past. She is gorgeous, and she is yours. Nothing. Some mental stuff. Nothing to be worried about. Physically, a golden sun melts down your throat. Its rays filling your nostrils with sunshine. Your stomach melts from it into a happy, gooey mess. So does your mind. All the bad things are melting. You're you again. A real cop. A real detective. Incredibly well done.
In the bottom right corner of the screen, there's an alcohol button. Alcohol gives +1 to physique.
From the void we came, and to the void we must return. A thin man is smoking below an exhaust hood, occasionally sipping from his mug. This must be the Whirling's cook. As you step in, he nods toward the table and says something in a completely foreign language. The only words you can make out are Goranci and Quebec. It must be his name, Goranci. Goranci, Quebec. Sounds representative. The man puts his cup down and replies something, his left hand drawing arcs in the air. He smiles and bangs his ladle against each of his pots in turn. The man ponders his You see a heavy steel door with a prominent dimple lock. It's painted blue. You immediately feel drawn to the color. Blue is for mystery. The cobalt blue surface feels rough to touch. The stainless steel door is flush with its frame on every side. Old cobalt paint, rough on the fingers. 40, 50 years since this was painted, maybe. The door does not budge.
You do? It's a door in the back of the kitchen. Why do you care where it leads? It is quite pretty. I suppose we could look into it as a side investigation. If you say so, Gart is the person to ask about this. The cafeteria manager.
Can I help you? Another thing. Great. Oh, yes, that door, sure. There's nothing mysterious about it. It's just a door. No, I don't have a key. I don't know how to get there. And I don't care either. It's not like I've been wondering about it for 10 years. It's just a frit warehouse, probably. Or some boring storage space with a bunch of old junk and dust. Junk and dust.
He's attempting to maintain an air of indifference. It's absolutely not convincing.
Fine, okay, a little. But my job doesn't leave me time for wondering about one locked door in one of the cafeterias I manage. So, I haven't opened it. I have cleaned the whole place 100 times over, though, after the animals. And I haven't found a key, so good luck with that. Yes?
Yes? What do you want to know? What's there to say? It's just stupidity. The cop kind. Our precincts can't decide if Martinez is part of Jamrock or the Industrial Harbor. Yours or mine, as if we somehow own parts of the city. Typical street gang mentality. So we've let the Union make a mockery of law enforcement here, and now it's come to its natural conclusion. Well, sort of. It's less a matter of who gets to police Martinez than who has to. It's an orphan district, in other words. I think the dispatch desk just told both our stations about the hanging. There was quite the brouhaha at the 57th, I can tell you that. Time to settle it, they said. Cop off. But I assure you, I am not their finest or toughest with 102 cases solved. What I am is least interested in a pissing competition.
So he volunteered to represent the 57th, but not out of competitiveness. On the contrary.
Yes, I am an unrepentant spoilsport. Martinez? Nothing. It's just a puddle at the end of some drain pipe. No one cares about this place. They care about sports. Most of our colleagues don't even know how to get here. North of the interchange doesn't exist.
A tremble comes over you. Another after effect of ethanol poisoning, perhaps. Feels like leaves do when they rustle in the breeze, somewhere far away, below the turbine. The 41st and the 57th. The lieutenant was right. It's not about who gets what's north. It's about who doesn't. Tell him. Tell him why it's you. He opens one hand and looks at it. A moment passes.
Which school do you subscribe to? Mambo or Jumbo? I didn't know that was even possible. It must be a great burden. It's good to have an ambidextrous paradetective in a labor dispute. I can see why they sent you. Should we go? Yes, it's a wholly pointless matter. Forget I ever mentioned it.
He's actually glad it's addressed now. Because you're the best qualified. No, that doesn't seem right. If you're so well qualified, why can't you remember why you were sent? Anyway, don't keep the lieutenant waiting.
Me? That's a fair point. All right, for the good of the investigation, what do you want to know? That's correct.
That makes him a binoclard. Completely uncopped material, if you say so yourself.
I can assure you, Detective, that I've passed all the required physical exams within the last year. Can you say the same?
You may not remember taking any little tests, but you're strong as a goddamn ox. Anyone can see that.
Just because your precinct has a reputation for cracking skulls doesn't mean that's the only way to solve a case. Was there anything else? That's because I'm half Seolite, or quarter. My father's father was from Seoul. So was my grandmother, but from my mother's side. It's not an interesting topic. It's a part of the world, officer. A geopolitical entity and a geographic division. I told you it wouldn't be interesting. You're barking up the wrong tree. I don't speak a word of Seolite. I've never met either one of my grandparents, and I've never been to Seoul. I'm a regular Revacholière. No.
Your brain sends the signal to your lips, but they refuse the order. Something is paralyzing them. You're pretty sure it has something to do with the lieutenant's eyebrow. It's like you're locked down.
Something the matter, detective?
This guy's got authority off the charts. With just the flick of his eyebrow, he's able to make you his thrall. Nothing. You better hope he doesn't abuse his authority. There's a lot of it. If the lieutenant were an evil man, who knows what sort of havoc he could wreak. Fortunately, he is a committed officer of the RCM. He'll only use his powers for the good of the investigation. The lieutenant relaxes his eyebrow, and you seem to regain control of yourself.
No.
The lieutenant nods.
What do you mean? I have no idea what you're talking about. I can't say that it does, no. When I need to think, I just use my notebook.
The lieutenant produces his small blue notebook and idly thumbs through a few pages. That's where his conversations with himself take place. You're super lucid, yet psychedelic. You don't need office supplies to connect to your nervous system. You're special.
Good. Let's change the subject. Excuse me? Detective, if I may be frank, you seem to be in a except that I do, detective. Some you time? This is a police investigation, not a journey of self.
A moment passes. This Post Lavantorie mail collection box has been heavily vandalized with graffito. A closer inspection reveals 2 bullet holes in the front. The box seems happy. Eat shit pig, fucked by the coon, and St. G with a crown have been scribbled on it. Jenny is a whore, and best set mailbox also. The mailbox does not know how to man up. It is an inanimate object. The box seems happy. Eat shit pig. The mail collection box seems cathartic. Thankful even. So do you. And then suddenly, you see it. Over all the other graffitos, someone has, using the tip of a very sharp knife, cut the word. The box seems happy.
Hello again, sir. Are you interested? Okay, sir. I'll try to answer any questions you have. I hope they're about book. Crime fiction is about murders or burglaries or things like that, and the work of a policeman or a private detective who's trying to solve a crime and catch the criminal. And it's kind of like a puzzle too. You can guess who the criminal is or how the good guys are going to catch him. You don't look much like a policeman. Didn't mean to offend, sir. Sorry, sir. It's just that you don't look like Dick Mullen. Head, yes.
No, it's your soul. Your blue soul. No, your resilience.
I'm not sure I understand. If you say so, sir. He's just a fictional character. He's no match for your soul. Maybe you can show me some real police work, sir. Like in the books.
You fail to deduce anything substantial. She waits intently.
Come on, anyone would notice that. My name is Annette, sir. My mum, her name is Plaisance. She owns the store. She's inside minding the register or organising the stock. Feel free to step in and browse our wares. I'm signalling that the store is open. Otherwise, people might not know. They'd miss out on the crime, romance, and
A sudden gush of wind turns the pages of the books on the counters. She covers her face, smiling, but she's cold.
Thank you, sir. I'm glad to help Mum out with the store. I do my studies at home at the moment. I have to help Mum keep this place running. Mum says it's necessary to do both because it builds character. Mum says a proper worker is dutiful. That's how you get ahead in life. You succeed.
There is stress and unease behind these words. She's reciting etiquette.
Mum says it's peachy. She was a little afraid at first. There's talk about this house being cursed.
Behind her, the window has been boarded up. You sense the boards creaking, twisting for a second, and some kind of doubt in her tense shoulders.
Cursed in the way that makes them say that no business has ever really thrived here, sir. That they all go... I wouldn't really say it like that, but I guess so.
We can go into the bookstore and ask about the case, but I don't see much more to look into here.
Yes. Please do also look at our wares inside. The postcards and board games are there, sir.
It does not manifest itself in any way. It does not exist. I liked it better when we were asking about Dick Mullen. No such thing.
Anything else you wanted to talk about, sir? Nothing really, sir. Mum doesn't allow me to sneak around in the back rooms or the cellar. I don't really know what's there. Maybe I can tell you about some of our books instead.
The girl keeps her hands folded, hidden. Why is that?
What do you mean, sir?
She knows where this is going. She looks around anxiously. Her hands remain folded in front of her. She doesn't want to show them. The lieutenant stands by, looking at the two of you with little interest, a facade of true professionalism. He is far more intrigued by the situation than his poise reveals. She brings out her reddened hands, her nails frayed, nearly chewed down to the flesh.
And you knew this from me keeping my hands folded? Well, that proves nothing. Anyone could do an easy deduction like that.
She actually is impressed. This is more like a defensive reflex. She nods, half provocative, half enthusiastic.
Maybe so, sir. Okay, I know it's a bad habit, and I shouldn't. It was okay, sir.
There's more that can be achieved here. Ask her to do the same.
You're quite sober.
The lieutenant does not flinch at the comment. He does not flinch even a single bit. He is intensely not flinching. It takes effort.
Because you usually aren't. I sure hope you are, sir.
There she stands, swaying on her feet, assaulted by the early spring breeze. She smiles at you. The whole situation suddenly feels familiar, somehow. Because you know each other. She's been talking to you so openly because you've talked before.
Yes, I stand in this spot all the time. You've been running around all week without your shirt on, sir, telling people about being a star or something. I don't really understand who those stars are. Of course, you've stopped by a few times. You certainly look better than the last time I saw you. Yeah, but you don't have party eyes anymore.
Party eyes. Yes, of course. That makes sense.
I'm not surprised children have seen you running around with party eyes on, he thinks. Not at all.
You know, like a cat in the dark, all big and wide-eyed. It certainly looks odd on a man.
The swiveling eyes of a loony drug addict. That is what she meant. You were probably gurning too. Fuck yeah. You should get some party eyes right now. Snap those sequins on you, boy. Oh, baby, that's not what you have to worry about. Worry about the important thing.
I didn't know I had to do that. I'm glad I could help you, sir. Oh, kings and queens and generals of old, or artists and writers, or musicians, those kinds of people. There's usually something extraordinary about them. I think that's why people read them, to find the secrets of their fame. It's the type of book where there's a rich lady and she has to choose between the good man and the bad man. Or there could be a story about a poor lady getting a rich man. It's about man and lady business, sir. These are not very common. You can't have a choice between bad and bad. Nobody wants to read a story like that. Well, maybe then it's fine. Maybe if the lady then decides not to pick either because she doesn't need a bad man. Yes, that would be interesting. That's really not a proper romance story. That's more like everyday life. Not in romance books, sir. These are about nice and pretty people, and everyone is happy in the end. I haven't read many of those. Maybe you should ask Mum. I don't think it's a romance story if the main characters break up, though. No, I don't know.
You can take this. Blossom like a pain flower. The girl is at a loss for words. She shifts and sways on her feet, looking confused and uncomfortable. Despair creeps into you, getting fat on your weakness. Whatever noble intentions you once had as a police officer, there's something else in there. There has to be. But it's like reaching your hand into muddy water, fishing around and coming up with nothing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're shit out of luck fishing around right now. You're drowning.
Fuck me? Please leave the rage you have for after we finish the investigation.
Nothing you can say would make you feel any better. Cop gives up the detective genre for social realism. Another police officer resigned from the RCM following a nervous breakdown. He now lives under a bridge, drinking and occasionally throwing excrement at passers-by.